We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. President Donald Trump drew criticism after mocking openly gay CNN anchor Anderson Cooper and other journalists at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
The New York Times reports Jeffrey Epstein allegedly orchestrated a same-sex marriage between his girlfriend and an assistant to secure a green card.
The House rejected an amendment to permanently codify Trump's transgender military ban, preserving future repeal options. However, lawmakers have approved separate measures restricting transgender health care and school sports participation.
After Aquaplex's closure, Pride Holdings Group is confronting major challenges involving Johnson's. Queer News Tonight's John Hayden reports on mounting problems raising fresh questions about the company's LGBTQ+ nightlife operations.
Pennsylvania repealed HIV-specific sentencing enhancements, ending harsher penalties for people living with HIV. Advocates say the reform reflects modern science, reduces stigma, and advances LGBTQ+ and HIV justice. All this important LGBTQ+ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached more than 12 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Tuesday, July 28th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate on the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America. Hotspots happening out South Florida.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
I am so happy to be here, and at my age, I'm happy to be anywhere. And I'd like to wish everyone a happy National Milk Chocolate Day. Kiss?
I will never say no to free food. One Jew to another. Thank you.
I don't kiss on the first date.
Oh, wow.
I've known you a while. Hey.
I've known you a while.
It doesn't
There you
crinkle
go.
enough like a candy wrapper in a show.
Let's welcome anchor Glen Weinzimer. He has been a South Florida advocate for over 30 years, raising awareness and more than $16 million for the HIV/AIDS community for 20 plus years. He is also a travel director and corporate events planner. Welcome to the show, Glen.
Thank you for having me back. I love it, and it's good to see you because I haven't seen you in forever.
It's
Jeff.
been a minute.
And
Happy
the
to
same
have
thing.
you.
I was supposed to be on the show with you, and you no showed. I'm just saying. I was like here. I was like there were two of us, and I was like, "Where's Daryl? He was supposed to be here." Nothing. Okay. Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Slipped my mind. Actually, I called him.
And let's welcome anchor Bishop Durrell Watkins, the senior minister at Sunshine Cathedral, one of the most important LGBTQ churches in the world. He's an auxiliary bishop of the Global Justice Institute and the current president of the Divine Science Federation. Welcome to the show, Durrell.
Always glad to be here. And I love this opportunity to peddle our wares. The first 4 Saturdays in August, that's the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, and the 21st, the Samaritan Institute, the educational arm of the Sunshine Cathedral, is offering a theologies survey course. A one-time $10 donation gets you access to all 4 sessions. This isn't teaching one theology as true, but is exposing us to a multitude of theologies to compare. And for those who don't know, because it's a church word, theology is just the study of divinity, and there are bunches and loads of theologies. Starting this coming Saturday, 10 a.m. until noon, and everyone is welcome.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Jeff Oliverio. Jeff is the founder and president of the Hollywood LGBTQ+ Council and serves as co-chair for the upcoming 6th annual My Hollywood Pride, which returns in January 2027. He also serves on the Save Gala Committee. Jeff is a director and certified financial planner with Truist Wealth based in Fort Lauderdale. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Happy to be here with all of you tonight. I love this great cast we have.
Of characters.
Characters.
Definitely
Always characters.
For sure.
Yes. I'm Jeff Oliverio, and let's queer up politics. Trump draws criticism for targeting Anderson Cooper, Kaitlan Collins, and Dylan Mulvaney. President Donald Trump sparked criticism during Friday night's White House Correspondents' Dinner after making jokes targeting several journalists, including openly gay CNN anchor Anderson Cooper. Speaking about Cooper, Trump said, quote, "I like Anderson, actually, because he's covered me well for many years. Then he went bad as soon as I went for politics. You know, he's got a different persuasion than me in many ways." End quote, which drew only scattered laughter from the audience. The president also addressed CNN reporter Kaitlan Collins, telling her, quote, "Smile, you have a nice position. You're at CNN fake news. You should be a happy person. So smile, Kaitlan, just smile," end quote. He mocked her journalism award and joked that Collins resembled transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney, and that it was Collins who appeared on a Bud Light can. Trump also repeated past insults directed at former CNN anchor Don Lemon, calling him, quote, "lowest IQ on television." The remarks come amid ongoing tensions between Trump and CNN journalists who have frequently questioned the president on issues ranging from his finances to the Epstein files. Well, I mean, it's not unusual for him to be targeting journalists. I think the biggest question mark around CNN is this huge pending merger with Paramount, and obviously we know Paramount is very the family, the Ellison family, is very friendly to Trump. So it could really upend what CNN's coverage and what their journalists can and can't do, and will they tap down on their coverage of the president from a journalistic perspective. I guess it's yet to be determined. I know it is on hold right now again, so they've delayed the merger talks, but it will be interesting to see what happens with that entity in general, because they've already, tried to dismantle most of CBS and 60 Minutes and all of their coverage. So CNN is on the chopping block potentially.
Well, this is the kind of hateful fuckery that has the cloven hoofprints of diaper nurse, Natalie Harp, all over it. I mean, you could smell her coming because she never washes her hands, okay?
Oh my God.
How do we follow that?
How do you feel? Yeah. Well, I have an objection because there needs to be a little correction in the script there. He did not tell a single joke, not one funny thing. He wasn't even trying to be funny. He was just trying to be mean.
Yeah.
And notice how in his mean, he got like buckshot, like the queer and trans and people of color and women, and he got all of his favorite enemies. And of course, it was the person of color. The queer person of color has the lowest IQ, and I guess he means since The Apprentice has gone off, but the lowest IQ on television. Of course, Don Lemon is brilliant, and I would just bet money. I mean, I would kiss somebody's ass in Macy's window if that man has a triple-digit IQ himself. The so-called president. So just for him to insult people's intelligence in there, it makes my skin crawl.
I saw a meme today from, I don't know whether it was which one of the outlets it was or social media things, but it listed the IQ of like the last 12 presidents.
Wait, through Roosevelt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through Roosevelt, and he has by far like half
Oh yeah.
or a third of what everyone else has as far as IQ. So for him to demean anybody else, and it was ridiculous to even let him speak because he knew it wasn't going to be anything funny about what he said. It was just going to be hurtful and re-bringing back the past and saying the same old thing.
And what is this thing about straight men telling women to smile?
See,
You know what?
He did that on purpose. He
Looking
meant to
at-
be.
It's a good thing people just
asshole.
don't vomit when they look at him.
Yeah.
Smile? I mean,
I used to have that happen to me when
He's
I
got
was
to tell
in bars.
some woman
They'd
to
say, "Why
smile
aren't
because
you
his wife
smiling?"
doesn't ever.
And I would
He
say,
doesn't
"Well,
smile.
something worth smiling, I would smile."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard to smile too when you're smelling a dirty diaper.
Yes.
It's just hard to do.
Well,
I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up the USA View. Epstein allegedly used same-sex marriage to secure girlfriend's green card. According to a new report by the New York Times, Jeffrey Epstein allegedly arranged for his girlfriend, Dr. Karina Shuliak, to enter a same-sex marriage with one of his female assistants to help her obtain a U.S. green card. The report cites emails released by the Department of Justice showing Epstein advising an unnamed recipient, identified by the Times as Shuliak, to find an American girlfriend, adding, quote, "Same-sex marriage will be the fastest way to green card, by far," end quote. Shuliak, who came to the United States from Belarus on a student visa, had reportedly overstayed her visa while studying dentistry. In a separate 2013 email, Epstein instructed one of his assistants to go to the Marriage License Bureau and wait for Karina. The women married about 3 weeks after meeting. According to the report, an immigration lawyer working for Epstein then began the process that ultimately led to Shuliak receiving a green card and later becoming a U.S. citizen in 2018. The marriage ended in divorce a year later. According to Epstein's assistant's attorney, quote, "Nobody was permitted or dared ever to disobey Jeffrey Epstein," end quote. Typical, they hate same-gender marriage until it's convenient for them to use it as a tool for their own insidious purposes. And just when you thought Epstein couldn't get more deplorable, this story surfaces. And now this Belarusian beauty, that was sarcasm.
It was.
We got that.
Beautiful, could potentially become $100 million richer by inheriting his tainted fortune. That's what she has to look forward to.
Wow.
I love that she studied dentistry because she was definitely an oral expert.
Oh wow.
Oh, very
Wow.
Thank
That was
you.
good. I like that. It is infuriating though that immigration is so difficult for so many people who want to be here, need to be here, would be an asset to us if they were here, but they are treated abysmally. But this person, because of access to power, just, marries in, and it's so easy. That's what's very frustrating. That I personally know a lot of people who either had to leave for a while, had a hard time getting back, or they had to leave and never got to come back, or they don't leave their house for fear of being snatched up by ICE. And this woman just, this straight woman just marries a woman for a year, and here she is. That is infuriating.
I mean, shocking that it lasted only a year.
I know, that was surprising.
I really had high
Held
hopes
out.
for them.
Yeah, we were betting on it.
But it also solved the riddle of why there was a dentistry chair in the Epstein Island. Now I'm putting the story together.
She came in very handy.
Yeah, she had her own chair there and
I
everything.
think you just mastered the single entendre there.
Easy to practice her dentistry skills. So, very interesting.
A lot of people learn to gum things really well.
Wow.
I'm Glen Weinzimer, and let's queer up trans rights. House rejects effort to make Trump's transgender military ban permanent. The U.S. House of Representatives has narrowly rejected an effort to permanently write President Donald Trump's transgender military ban into federal law. The amendment, introduced by Republican Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado, failed a 212 to 217 vote after 4 Republicans joined Democrats in opposition. The outcome leaves the administration's existing policy in place while preserving the possibility that courts, Congress, or a future president could reverse it. Representative Mark Takano, chair of the Congressional Equality Caucus, said, quote, Republicans tried to codify Trump's trans military ban into law, but my fellow members of the Congressional Equality Caucus and I put in countless hours of work to kill this amendment, and we were successful. I'm grateful for the bipartisan vote to defeat this discriminatory amendment, end quote. However, this relief came with a warning. The House approved 2 separate amendments from Representative Nancy Mace that would restrict TRICARE coverage for transition-related care and bar transgender girls from competing on girls' teams in defense department schools. I did a little bit of research on it. There's actually, according to a research as far as transgender, there are only 10 professional transgender people looking to play in college sports, and there's only 3.3% of our students that from a 2023 poll that consider themselves possibly transgender as children. So the numbers that we're talking about are so small, and yet this is taking up millions and millions and millions and millions of people's minds over something that they'll never see, never experience, or never have to deal with. And I just find that extremely infuriating. They said that the NCAA reported that, like I said before, 10 out of 510,000 total college sports players. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's not even about protecting anybody.
No,
this is completely about erasing the vulnerable. It's completely about demonizing people, because as long as you create this fake war on them, it's always going to be a communist or a queer or a trans person or an immigrant or a refugee or whatever. There's always a thing. And as long as you can just keep people all stirred about nonsense, then we don't have to think about the fact that a convicted rapist is trying to act as a moral authority, that a 34-time felon is trying to act like a moral authority. There's someone who's been credibly accused of sexual abuse 26 times is acting as a moral authority. We don't have to think about that while we're fighting off the evil of transgenderism, which, as you said, we're talking about a dozen people in the world.
Right.
It's just it's infuriating, and it's all bait and switch. It's all bait and switch.
And it's all about fear.
Yeah.
If I can scare you that they're coming for you, of course you're going to get up in arms, but you don't know that the numbers are so small.
Right. Because if every single one of them came together.
And that way you go, look over here.
You can fight them off with a broom. I mean, it's not an army.
Right. They're not coming at you.
And Lauren Boebert, I know she does a lot with her hands. I didn't think writing bills was one of them, but I guess she did get that done.
We're just going to have one tonight, aren't we?
She really, she's another one, again, it's like the lowest form of politicians that are in the House that are putting these bills forward. I mean, I'm glad it was defeated. Nancy Mace is another one on that list.
Mace and Boebert, the mean girls.
That are out there, spewing hate. Although I think that Lauren Boebert, maybe her time is going to be up soon. I hope so.
And are there any sweeter words than the amendment introduced by Republican Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado failed in a 212 to 217 vote? Sweeter. So sweet. Like a kiss.
Right. I do hate that only 5 people did right. I mean, the
margin is
that makes me sad.
Very slim.
Take what you can get.
Yeah.
Well, the margin is slim, which means you need to go out and vote.
Yeah. I'm Bishop Durrell Watkins, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Missing paychecks and tips in Wilton Manors and an eviction lawsuit in Tampa. Johnson's, part of Pride Holdings Group, which just closed Aquaplex, is facing massive problems. Queer News Tonight special correspondent John Hayden has details.
Stolen tips, bouncing checks, and eviction lawsuits. Johnson's in Wilton Manor and in Tampa are facing existential crises.
And the only thing that some people actually care about, how about Johnson's?
Johnson's is owned by Pride Holdings Group. I'm told they are solid for now.
That was Monday, and we've learned a lot since then, starting with a staff revolt in Wilton. 2 paychecks in a row, which includes credit card tips, bounced. Now they want cash at the end of the night. Management said no, but I'm told staff took it anyway. If you do go to Johnson's, please tip in cash. Corporate owner Pride Holdings Group has their money and has been bouncing payroll from Key West to Chicago for months. Greater Wilton Manors has also learned Johnson's is being investigated for something by regulators, and one source says it's behind in paying its sales tax. Meanwhile, Johnson's in Tampa boldly says it's not going anywhere, but it is also facing eviction after being acquired by Pride Holdings, and the landlords are livid. They say they were, quote, not notified of the purchase, nor did landlord approve the assignment. Regardless, Pride has been operating the business at the premises and purportedly controls the property at issue, albeit without paying rent. That's the legal version of a middle finger. The lawsuit goes on to say Pride Holdings has been late 4 times this year and are wrongfully withholding possession of landlord-leased premises. Watermark Media first reported and independently confirmed by Greater Wilton Manors that Pride Holdings COO Joshua Cooper wants to work out a deal where Johnson's can stay till mid-January. They say that is, quote, actually very agreeable to us because the landlord does not maintain the building, end quote. They also say they don't need this spot. They'll find a new location.
Of course, I'm continuing to follow this story. There seems to be new developments every day, if not every hour. In Wilton Manors, I'm John Hayden.
Well, I'm very sad about all this kerfuffle and confusion and madness because to supplement my income, I was going to apply at Johnson's, and now I won't have the chance. So too bad for me. For that one person who just stumbled on this by accident, Johnson's is a strip club, and but no, I mean this is
pole dancer,
right? People work hard, especially in the service industry. Whether you're a server or a bartender or a dancer, or the hostess or whatever, they're parking like it's hard work, and it's not super lucrative. I mean, it can be, but it's not consistently lucrative. You can have a great night and a sad night or whatever. And so that people who work hard and depend on their really day by day money, it's easy to joke because it's sort of a sex thing and above, but these are people with lives and bills, and so it's I just hope it all gets straightened out because people work hard. They deserve to to be okay, and they provide a service that the queer community really enjoys and historically always has. Like, we've always been this sex positive part of humanity, instead of just sneaking around like we just own it. Oh yeah, we're sexy, we love sex, whatever, and we love naked, and we love that's us. And so this hits on several levels, and I just hope it gets worked out.
I feel bad for, like you said, for all the employees that rely on this, because you take Johnson's as one source of income, but you look at Aqua, a lot of those ladies that perform there, where else are they going to perform? There aren't not a lot of other venues that can absorb this type of entertainment and put it out there. I mean, there's a big expense in putting something like that together. And it's sad because they just finished, it's been a year or so since
the remodeling of
remodeling, and it had been purchased. Because remember, it was Lipson, it was going to be closing at the last second. They jumped in from Key West.
Sort of saved it, we thought.
Saved it with Aquaplex and changed all the signage and stuff. And, this seems like they've overextended themselves, or just the money's staying in someone's back.
It's a tough time for everyone right now, but.
Right, and with this kind of Wilton Manors wipeout, it's important to keep supporting the venues that have good business practices, and if there's a way to find out which ones they are and share that information, I hope someone will do so, and that we can keep the drive going.
Well, we have to, and I hear lots of communities saying this, minority communities, and we're no different in that respect. We've got to support our community. We've got to show up. We've got to be there for each other, because more and more, we're what we've got.
Right.
Like we're being confronted by government. We're being confronted by religion. We're being confronted by struggling with the economy like everyone else. We've got to be a family right now, because we will stand together or we will fall apart.
Right.
I mean, I don't know any of these people that are involved with Pride Holdings, but from the minute that I did hear about this, when, that Aquaplex and there was some of the queens were posting things about this publicly traded company. First of all, again, with my background as working as a financial advisor, publicly traded companies that are invested in nightlife entertainment industry, I can name zero. Okay. I mean, literally, there's none that exist that are, maybe major restaurant chains, maybe casinos, but what other publicly traded stock? And from what I understand, they were really peddling the stock to the employees of saying you will have ownership in this company. So there smells like, as soon as I heard that, when it was happening over a year ago or so, I heard that, and I saw a couple of the performers at Aquaplex posting on social media about investing in the company or buying shares, which again is a major no-no, to be promoting stock from, the employees or promising them some ownership in the business. So this smells like it was fraud from day one. It's really unfortunate because there's a lot of really amazing people that are involved in all of these businesses. It is their livelihood and it is part of our community. But, and again, from what I do understand, the people who are involved in Pride Holdings are from our community. And so it's another terrible example of our community coming after each other in a way that no one deserves. And so it's
a lot
really
of these
unfortunate.
people are new to our community.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part is there's so many people have come into our community within the last 10 years, suddenly become the most important person in town.
Yeah.
They bring in all this entertainment and they want to be on every committee. And then at some point they implode and we're left with the mess that they leave behind.
Yeah.
Don't look behind the curtain.
Yeah, sad times. I'm Jeff Oliverio, and let's queer up the USA view. Pennsylvania ends HIV-specific criminal sentencing enhancements with new law. Pennsylvania has eliminated HIV-specific criminal sentencing enhancements, removing provisions that impose harsher penalties on people living with HIV for certain offenses. Governor Josh Shapiro signed Senate Bill 45 as part of a broader package of legislation. Previously, people charged with prostitution-related offenses could face felony charges and up to 7 years in prison if they were HIV positive, even when the underlying offense was typically a misdemeanor. Advocates say the state change brings state law in line with current medical science and helps reduce HIV-related stigma. Lawyer Rhonda Goldfein told the Pennsylvania Capital Star, quote, "Criminal penalties for living with HIV have never served an effective law enforcement purpose. No credible research has ever linked penalties with reduction in HIV transmission," end quote. Dr. Jay Kosman also criticized HIV criminalization, saying, quote, "We know today that when people living with HIV are taking medications and have an undetectable level of virus in their blood, they can't transmit the virus to other people. Therefore, there's no scientific basis for criminalizing HIV," end quote. According to the Movement Advancement Project, 26 states still have laws criminalizing HIV transmission, perceived exposure, or HIV-specific sentencing enhancements, while 4 states may also require sex offender registration in certain cases. I think it's just enlightening to have these stories because, again, to hear that more than half of our states still have these laws on the books, I think to the greater community outside of our community would most likely be shocked by it, considering, again, there's no scientific evidence that would, lead to these type of criminalization. But it takes leaders. Thank you to Josh Shapiro and the Senate in Pennsylvania for getting this bill passed. I do hope more states will review this, especially in light of, how outdated this is. I mean, I remember when I learned when I came out that I was no longer able to give blood at the time. And as a previously not out person, I didn't know anything about that. And it kind of shocked me. And, my dad is frequently involved in blood drives and called me one day to tell me, I'm doing a blood drive, and was going on about it. And then he said, you should go give blood. And I said, well, actually I can't give blood, Dad. And he was like, wow, why can't you give blood? He couldn't understand it. And I told him, and he as a straight man said, but they test all the blood. And I said, exactly. I said, it's just discrimination. It is outdated. And so these laws, across the spectrum live on the books in many states, municipalities, communities, and people don't know about it. So
I remember when this first happened and they first started doing these laws against people giving blood, and also the criminalization for having sex if you know you're HIV positive. And you've got to say, to your point, which was my point, is they're going to test it anyway.
Yeah.
And you're not criminalizing prostitution,
No.
where they can be passing on all kinds of diseases, but that's not a criminal offense for people that actually spend their time on the streets working. So it has been hypocrisy from the beginning. I have a friend that actually does the Blood Project. His name is Eagles. I think Jordan Eagles out of New York. And it's like a 8-foot tall square block that travels around the country. And it has blood of people, of LGBT famous people that cannot give blood. And it emphasizes of how many people could be saved by the blood that's not being able to be used, because not everybody's HIV positive just because you're LGBTQ. It's not one and the same, and it is a discriminatory practice.
It's meant to be stigmatizing. It's just othering LGBTQ people. That's what it's always been, because not only did they test it, but if it tested positive, they retested it. You can get, they just wanted. It was always super safe, super to make sure, and then they just destroy it if it's no good. They're never going to pass it on. And so, but this is about making LGBTQ dangerous, monstrous, scary, unsafe. That's the agenda behind it. We don't criminalize other diseases, and or even make you impossible to get. Like, they don't ask you if you have sickle cell anemia. They don't ask you if you've had hepatitis, or maybe they do. But I mean, but that's because you've had a thing, not just because you happen to be, but not just because you happen to be a certain kind of person. That if you've had these diseases, but they don't. So it was always about that. And I guess I should say, I don't think I've said anything bishopy tonight. I should say something bishopy, I guess, and that is that healing, the ministry of presence and the ministry of healing, that's core to religious movements, particularly the Christian movement. And so a lot of these fear-based and angry and hateful and violent and discriminatory, they are promoted by Christians, and who claim to follow the example, the stories of life of someone who was executed by the state, somebody whose ministry was touching the untouchable and loving the unlovable. And so it makes me angry that all of this hate is generated in the name of religion, but it's the religion that is based on a person who never found someone he thought was untouchable.
Yeah. Well, Pennsylvania is fortunate to have a governor like Josh Shapiro. No relation.
You wish.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Michelle Yeoh calls trans actress Hunter Schafer a fearless action hero. Michelle Yeoh praised her Blade Runner 2099 co-star Hunter Schafer during the series Hall H panel at San Diego Comic-Con. She highlighted Schafer's commitment to the show's action scenes ahead of the November 25th premiere on Amazon Prime Video. Schafer was assigned male at birth and transitioned to it as a child. Yeoh said, quote, "I've never seen a more fearless action hero. I mean, she really literally dove in," end quote. The series follows replicant Blade Runner Olwen, played by Yeoh, and her partner Cora, played by Schafer, in a futuristic Los Angeles. I have not seen this or aware of it, but it does sound really interesting. I'm glad to see that there's a transgender actor in the role.
And to have your action skills praised by Michelle Yeoh. I mean, she must be like Olympic level. I mean, I'm so in love with Michelle Yeoh. I mean, I sometimes wonder, am I 100% straight? I always thought I was a Kinsey 6. I might be like a 5 3/4 because I think I'm just in love with Michelle. So I wish she'd say something nice about me. It would just make my life.
Well, I still haven't forgiven Michelle Yeoh for her dreadful performances in John Chu's abysmal Wicked movies. So I don't consider her a very reliable source.
I knew it was going to come back to Wicked.
Wow. Wow. People take the jobs they can get. Wow.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Elliot Page says Canadian upbringing helped him handle the Odyssey's grueling filming. Elliot Page says growing up and working in Canada helped him cope with the demanding conditions, while filming Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Speaking on The Daily Show, Page said the production involved harsh weather, though he felt he had an easier role than some cast members. Page said, quote, "The challenging things were just the weather and temperature, but I'm lucky in that I grew up working in Canada as a kid, so I'm used to working in some pretty brutal temperatures," end quote. Page also revealed his character Sinon does not appear in Homer's original Odyssey. He admitted, quote, "I was terrified and wanting to make sure I did an okay job and pulled it off in the movie. It was the good kind of nerves," end quote. Well, gents, I'm going to go on record as saying that I did not see The Odyssey, that I have no plans to see The Odyssey, and that everyone should make a point of reading the review of The Odyssey in the London Review of Books, written by Emily Wilson, whose respected translation of The Odyssey was published by Norton. Read the review.
Read the review. Oh my goodness. Because I love literature, I love age, and so I'm afraid to see it. I mean, I'm probably going to see it, but I'm afraid to see it because first of all, they created a new person whose goal was to do an okay job. Yeah, that's always my top goal going into something. But but I will say this, that I always found Page in a previous life to be a little off-putting. It just didn't seem right. I don't know, why don't I like him? And now he seems so authentic and so comfortable with himself. I'm sort of drawn to him now. So that is a plug for authenticity and living your truth. And so, because I now find him very compelling.
Yeah, I loved him when he was in the Umbrella Academy. Well, because he was playing She in transition pretty much during that show.
During the show, yes, and pulled that off. That was very brave.
Brilliantly, yeah. I haven't seen The Odyssey yet, but my niece and nephew saw it this weekend and they loved it. So,
I'll be seeing it this weekend, but I'm just still wondering about what kind of child acting conditions Elliot Page was under in Canada. Don't they have child-like labor laws there?
Yeah.
Really questioning what's going on up there in Canada.
LGBTQ 1-minute news. Let's queer up the world. Romanian Pride March proceeds despite fourth straight ban. Police issue fines before event. Romania's LGBTQ plus Pride March took place in the western city of Oradea on July 25th, despite being banned by local authorities for the fourth consecutive year. Around 180,000 people joined the Pride. Organizations with ARC or DIA said the city rejected more than 100 proposed parade routes and denied permission again this year. Before the march began, Ordaya's military police issued fines to participants, but the crowd did not hesitate. Rather, many marchers started chanting, quote, "I don't care, I love it," end quote. I think this is it's a great story. 180,000 people in a country where they're being discriminated against, defied authorities, and probably being arrested, and showed up and stood their ground for, being out and about. And I think that's commendable. And, I don't know how brave I would be.
I mean, I just think it shows what the spirit of Pride is supposed to be about. And I'm regularly shocked here in Florida that we have such apathy for our own Pride events, for people, coming out, participating, and being part of what the spirit of Pride is about, which is a protest.
Right.
Yeah, this is another, it seems hugely successful nonviolent protest. It's the spirit of freedom and liberty, and so I was glad to see it. I hope it inspires those who have become complacent, because complacency has already cost us a lot.
Yes.
And so now that we have seen this, maybe if 180,000 people can risk arrest and are fined pre-crime, maybe we can get to the polling place.
It'd be great if we can get clips from that and the story and run it like at Hunters on a Sunday.
Yeah,
just a little break. See what's going on in our world. It'd be a great breaking news thing that just pops up, and the non-believers, the people that take everything for granted, could somehow be impacted by something like that, and maybe they'd have a little more spirit for the meaning of Pride here in our own community and throughout our state.
LGBTQ 1-minute news. Let's queer up politics. Failed Virginia GOP governor candidate launches campaign against marriage equality amendment. former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, who lost last year's gubernatorial race by 13 points, has launched a statewide campaign urging voters to reject constitutional amendments protecting marriage equality and reproductive rights. On her Life and Marriage Tour, Earl Sears is encouraging Virginians to vote no on both measures in the upcoming midterm elections. Virginia lawmakers codified marriage and equality in state law last year in case the U.S. Supreme Court overturns Obergefell v. Hodges. The proposed constitutional amendment would further protect those rights. And while Virginia already grants women the right to an abortion, this year's ballot measure would codify that right in the Constitution. I find it odd and strange and wrong that her name is Winsome, because she's not winsome, she's mean. And other than that, that's all the commentary I got about her. I'm not going to, not going to drag her through the whatever. But I will say this about her positions and most of the people in power, seeking power, who share them. I don't buy it. I don't believe there's anything. I don't think they mean any of it. I don't think they care about any of it. They're using whoever and whatever they can to scare up enough fear to get them the positions they want. I don't believe that you just couldn't care about anyone else's marriage. You didn't care when they didn't get a piece of paper. They were, living together and happy. Now all of a sudden they get a piece of paper. You weren't invited to the wedding. You won't even meet it doesn't impact your life at all. You couldn't possibly give even a third of a shit. So this is all about demonizing people, vilifying people for your benefit. And the same thing with reproductive rights. This is a medical issue. And I don't believe this many people really worship fetuses. I don't believe it, especially since if that fetus evolves into a viable life and is born, suddenly you don't give a shit about it. Mm-hmm. The fetus is sacred, but the born child doesn't deserve food at school, doesn't deserve health care, doesn't deserve Medicare, so I don't buy it. I don't think they mean any of it. I think they're doing it they don't mean it, they're using it to be mean, and she's no exception.
Win some, you lose some.
Virginia is for lovers, just not those kind of lovers.
Yeah.
I think her tour needs a new name. Yeah. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA view. Ohio communities push back against anti-LGBTQ plus billboards. Anti-LGBTQ billboards appearing across rural Ohio have sparked a growing backlash, with residents and advocacy groups launching their own campaigns supporting queer families. Funded by the Seattle-based organization Them Before Us, the billboards read, quote, "No child has two dads, no child has two moms," end quote. The signs went viral after Ohio resident Megan Tucker Manley shared a photo online. LGBTQ plus nonprofit Have a Gay Day has raised more than $18,000 for supportive billboards reading, quote, "Many children have two dads and many children have two moms." Speaking as someone who is two dads in my household, I find this just, again, appalling that someone is spending money to put up billboards about this. It's disgusting. There are many children in this country that don't even have any parents, or have one parent, or would love to have two parents, whether they be two men or two women or three men or two women, and whoever that may be. If they're caring and taking care of children, then they should be supported as parents. End of discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, rural Ohio. Them Before Us is wrong because, as we all know, Heather has two mommies, and fuck Katie Faust of Them Before Us.
Wow. And the two mommies, they live in Akron, right? I mean, they are in they live in Ohio. This is just, first of all, for all the people using religion as their excuse to be assholes, there's this thing, and it's universal, but it's actually in the Sermon on the Mount. The golden fucking rule. I mean, every friend who runs for area asks, "What's your favorite Bible thing?" "Oh, the golden rule." No, it's not. Mm-hmm. You don't even know where it is. It's Matthew 7, by the way. So it's not. You wouldn't want to be treated that way. You just wouldn't want to be treated that way. And if you were if you didn't have any parents, you wouldn't want to be kept from parents just because they both sit to pee or they both stand to pee. I mean, that's not a qualification. So I'm exhausted. I'm almost 60 years old, and I'm just exhausted by all the hate and the mean and the cruel and the vicious. And I'm just not being, I was never terribly silent about it, but now I'm really, I'm on Red Bull with it now. I'm not having it.
Yeah.
The hate. These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Jeff Oliverio, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Gregg Shapiro, Glen Weinzimer, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. Into our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you a good night.